Good evening to everybody. Good evening to everybody. My name is Timothy. I am the chairman of Team Har Programming Consults. Why I have with me here Victor Uche Ukundu is the executive director of Team Har Programming Consults. He's the one to take us through this new software, Positron, from the installation down to the application. So let's listen to him so that by the time he's done, at least we should be able to have some things gained. So after that, so I can take over to handle the rest part of Positron. But for now, he will take us through the Positron. Is the executive director of Team Har Programming Consult and a computer scientist. So I'm sure you will gain tonight from his part of experience. So let's listen to him, please. Take over, please.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Victor. Okay, in today's discussion, we're going to talk about positron. So I have 2 days to relate with you positively. But the first one is, let's see what we have on the table. Let me share my screen. Okay, sharing my screen right now. Good. I need to meet all. Okay, I'm sharing my screen right now. Good. So at this point, we're working on machine learning application using positron, a case study of back end and front end. We have a whole lot to discuss about this. Now, because it's a 2 days workshop, so I decided to make sure for the day one, we understand how positron works, how it's being downloaded, how it works, how you can move, navigate from one point to the other. Then aside that, in the next workshop we're going to have, which is the next day, then we're going to talk about the back end and the front end of whatever we're going to discuss about. So, as I say, my name is Victor. I'm a data scientist. Okay, good. Now, I want to use the word we all, or few, I don't know. We all know what they call RStudio, which was called POSIT. RStudio is an IDE for R. It was called RStudio. Then later this year, was it this year or last year? Was called POSIT. Okay, so this is the interface. Okay, Jupyter Notebook is for Python. RStudio is to write R programming language. Jupyter Notebook is for you to write Python programming language. Then there is something called Visual Studio. Visual Studio is an IDE that you can write any language on it. You can write Python, you can write R, you can write Java, you can write any language you want to write. It's an open source also, just like RStudio is an open source. Jupyter Notebook is an open source. Visual Studio is an open source. So now, integration of RStudio, Jupyter Notebook, and the almighty Visual Studio joined together, there is something called Positron. Positron. This Positron has RStudio interface, has Jupyter Notebook interface, has Visual Studio interface. So which means they call it Positron. They use the word an IDE for data science. So it's a new IDE. So if you're used to RStudio, you can easily navigate. If you're used to Jupyter Notebook, you can easily navigate. Then if you're used to the almighty Visual Studio, you are super easy to navigate. But whatever the case is, this is Positron combo together. So we're going to work with it. Ideally, we'll work with the R family, we'll work with the Python family on this Positron. Okay, so before I go to the next slide, my question is data science front end or back end? I will explain that part very clear before I move. Is data science front end or back end? To be sincere, a lot of people are claiming to be data scientists. Yeah, they are data scientists because they can write a lot of codes in the back end. Back end is that unique machine learning code you're writing, those machine learning algorithms you are dealing with, and the likes. The front end is when you're able to build a GUI, a graphics user interface, an interface where an end user can input their features to get an output. So a full stack data scientist will do the front end and the back end. The front end is for me to write the machine learning algorithms, save it, then build a front end. The back end is the algorithms, the front end is the interface. So in this our workshop, we will work with both front end and back end, if and only if we understand how to navigate on Positron, if and only if we understand how to do some few data wrangling on Positron, then we can now do what they call data analysis and the inputs and the output of it. Okay, let me move. So now, my ideal objective is to talk about this, machine learning and the likes, because the topic talks about machine learning. Machine learning was the topic. That's machine learning application using Positron, a case study of back end and front end. So this is the level I'm going to get to now. I will stop. Then I have to do a review of how it can be downloaded, what can be downloaded, the Positron can be downloaded. I actually did a quick video, which I push to the groups. So I'm going to do a quick one also, which it can be downloaded. They will now start navigating. Okay, so now, machine learning, a brief overview of machine learning. Machine learning is a subset of AI that enable computer to learn from and make decisions based on data, unlike the traditional programming, where explicit instructions were provided for every task. Machine learning uses algorithms to identify patterns and relationship in data, allowing your system to improve their performance over time without me and you intervention, human intervention. ML, machine learning, encompasses variety of techniques, including supervised learning algorithm, unsupervised learning algorithm, reinforcement learning algorithms, and deep learning algorithms, each tailored to specific types of problem and data structures. Now, if you check the right-hand side of my slide, you see where I put application development. Now, at this same point, what's happening there? Machine learning back end and machine learning front end. Stylishly, I can tell you that we have what they call web development, where these guys have back end and front end. Are we good? For their back end, for their front end, they talk about CSS, JavaScript, and HTML. While for their back end, they talk about PHP, Django, and Flask. Now, at this point, we are working with machine learning. We are data guys. So we're working with machine learning. I want to be a full stack data scientist. How can you be a full stack data scientist? You can be a full stack data scientist if and only if you can do the back end of machine learning and the front end implementation. So this is what we have here. For machine learning back end, we have data handling and pre-processing. We have model training and evaluation. We have deployment of machine learning models. Okay. And examples of all this we're talking about is recommendation system and predictive analytics. Now, what about the machine learning front end? We're talking about integrating machine learning models with user interfaces, real-time data visualization, users' interaction with ML-powered features. Example of this is a chatbot, personalized users' experiences. So the next one, importance of machine learning model application. Now, the importance of ML in model application cannot be overstated. It has revolutionized numerous industries by providing solutions that were previously unattainable. Here are a few areas where machine learning has made a significant impact: healthcare, finance, retails, automobiles, marketing, and technology. Machine learning has come to play in this and more. Application development. In application development, The synergy between the back end and front end is important, very crucial. While the back end manage the data and core functionality, and the front end deliver the functionality in a way that you and I, which is the end user, can interact with effectiveness. This division of roles allow for creation of robust, scalable, and user-friendly applications. Now, definition and roles of backend and frontend in application development. The backend of an application refers to server-side component. Now, please, if I'm done with this whole slide, the slide will be sent to you guys, but I actually have an objective. I want to install Positron on the machine, then navigate through and do some few computation so you understand how Positron is being worked, so that before we now go to the main thing. Now, at this junction, division and roles of backend and frontend in application development. The backend of an application refers to the server-side components that handle data storage, processing, business logics. It is the backbone of an application, managing requests from the front end query. So you are the front end person, you end user, you key in what you want, the back end, the server will return your results. Are we good? Okay. Now, at this point, key roles of the back end of data science, data management, business logic, security, and performance. Okay, I think I need to come like this. Sorry. Okay. This key role of back end of data science, key roles of the front end of data science, user interface, user experience, interactivity, then data visualization. Now, at this point, look at what we have here. The possible libraries used in this work when we are doing the front end and the back end are NumPy, are Pandas, Matplotlib, Seaborn, Scikit-learn, and JobLib. Now, check out what I wrote there. They are very key. Okay. Now, NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, and Scikit-learn ask their functionality. Their functionality is strictly for the back end. Why JobLib? Its functionality is strictly for both the back end and the front end. For me to save my model, I need a JobLib function library. For me to load my model, I need a JobLib function. Now, if you check my right-hand side of the slide, I talk about data manipulation, data visualization. I talk about ML modeling, machine learning modeling. And I have reasons why the ML modeling is color red. When we get to the main bridge, I will tell you why it's red. Now, for the main job, when we're talking about backend and frontend, I have a data set, a sales data set. This is it. I imported it. I did a lot of manipulation, then build my model, then build my GUI, front end. Okay? So this is description of the data set. Okay? Okay, this is description of the data set. So I'm trying to admit, okay, good. Now, we have advertising budget, we have price, we have sorry, hello sir, I've admitted people, no problem.
Okay, yes, that's
okay, good. So now, so we have for the data set we're having now, aside whatever we're doing, either we're doing from Jupyter Notebook or we're using R Studio, or using Positron, or using Visual Studio. The question on ground is, what are we working with? A data set. That data set you're working with, you should understand your data set as a data scientist, because we're importing the data set and we're doing some data wrangling and data importations, data wrangling and data predictions and the likes. So, stylishly, these are my description of my data set. No problem. Aside that, my backend codes, my front end codes. Okay. Then this is the user interface. Okay. Interface of the solution that has key inputs. I'll key in my value. When I key in my value, okay, I have a predictive results. I have some charts that shows the numbers of the value I imputed based on the advertising budget, the price, the numbers of stores, customer rating, and the likes. Thank you all. Now, mind you, what the half of the slide downward, we're not going to discuss about that today. We'll discuss about that in the next workshop. But what we're going to discuss about is positron. Okay, so at this junction, I'm ending my slide. Okay, boom. Okay, so like I said, let me do something. New file. Okay, let me close everything. So I'm closing everything. I'm closing my positron in general. Okay. Good. Don't save. I'm not saving because I've actually done a whole lot of work. So I need to cancel them so it can be fresh when I'm starting. Okay. So I'm closing. Good. Now, let me click on my positron. Okay, good. Hi, everyone. This is positron. This is how a positron looks like. So the question on ground is, what is it meant for? It's an ID for data science. It's an ID for data science. Okay? Plus or minus. Someone might ask me, what's an ID? I can tell you what an ID is. Okay? Interactive development environment. That's what we call an IDE. Interactive development environment. So your R Studio is has an IDE. It's an IDE. Your Jupyter Notebook is an IDE. Your Visual Studio is an IDE. Now we have a new IDE called Positron. Positron is a combination of R Studio, Jupyter Notebook, and Visual Studio joined together. It has a lot of features right now. I can show you a sample of what they call a Visual Studio, which I did in a slide. I intentionally created a slide and screenshot the Visual Studio interface, the R Studio interface, and Jupyter Notebook interface. So now, at this junction, this is R Studio. I'm going to do a sweet example of how it works. Let me start with R programming. As a data scientist, ideally, most of us work with Python alone. Most of us work with R alone. But still, most of us work with both R, Python, Java, and the likes. It depends on how vast you want and how you want to go extraordinary. No problem. So in today's workshop, we're going to talk about intro to Positron, how we go wrangling, how we can move from one part to the other, and also how we can use R on it. Then our next workshop, which is about the back end and the front end, we'll discuss about Python. Because I actually wrote the sales data sets, analytics for front end and back end based on Python. But it will be a one-sided coin if I'm going to do only Python, I'm not doing R. Okay, good. So Now this is what we have. So I can tell you we have an explorer at this point. We have a search at this point. We have a source control at this point. We have a debug and run function at this point. We have an extension at this point. From the extension button, you can include any features, any libraries, any tools, any framework that you want. This thing is working strictly like, what's it called? So this thing is working strictly like Visual Studio. Okay, without not talking much, let's move. First thing first, I want to work with R. But before I work with R, let me show you something. Okay, if you come, we have the file. When you click on the file, you have a whole lot of what we have here. This set of interface we're having here is same thing we have when you open the R Studio. That's case number one. Same thing that goes to R Studio is what we have here. No problem. Okay. Now, I have this part. You have two sections, the R and the Python. When I click on it, you have the R section and the R and the Python. Okay. Now, there's a problem. Someone is asking me, when I download this thing, will it be colored like this? No, it won't be colored. It will be in white format. So you are to change the color to your taste. Are you good? You have to change the color to your taste. So what are we doing? If I want to change this color after downloading, I will do Control KT. Now let me see. Okay. Let's see. Control K, then T. When I do that, wow, nothing is coming out. Let me see. Control KT. Okay. I think I need to close this part. Then I need to, let me see what to do. Okay. Control K and T. Brought out this. Now look out. I'm using a color called Positron Dark. Are we good? If I come down, it will change. If I come down, it will change. Are you good? It depends on whatever color, background, or themes that you want. There are more to this color. There are extreme colors that you don't have here. You have to search for them. Are you good? So I prefer the Positron Dark because I think that's one of my color. So any color that you want, you can type it on the search bar, like a light theme, the what's it called? Cats, pussing, and the likes, anything you want. But let me go for the Positron Dark. I think that's what I want. Okay, good. That's case one. Case two. What did I want to do? Let's me open a new project. Yeah, I want to open a new project. I'll go to new file. I'll go to new project. Click on it. When I do that, you will see Python project. You will see R project, and you see what? Jupyter Notebook. So at this junction, I can choose to go to any, but we're working with R. So I can do an R file or I'll do an R project. But let me work with an R project. Let's see how it goes. R project. I'll click on R project, then next. When I do that, at this junction, what will I do? I can call it, let's work with a very cheap R tax, data wrangling. Data wrangling. Okay, data wrangling. So this initialize project as Git repository. You don't need to touch it. Just leave it like this. Don't click on that button. Go to next. Now, at this junction, we're not doing a very large work. We're just doing a very minor work. I don't need to create a new environment. If you're creating a new environment, there will be a sub-environment in this environment called data wrangling. What I will need to do, not to check this button, or just go to create. So, where would you like your new I'll just say new window. Good. So it waits. So something is loading. Let it load complete. Now, what do you see? Come in. I think there's a, okay, good. Now, what do you see? You're seeing a typical look of an R studio. Are you good? A typical look of an R studio. That's what you're seeing. A typical look, if you're familiar with R studio, this is a typical look of an R studio. Are we good with that? Let me show you what they call R studio here. This R. This is my R studio. It has 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 panes. Okay. So it is a typical look of an R studio. Very good. So at this junction, I created a file called data wrangling, and there's nothing inside. So what do I want to do? I will need to import a data first thing first. After importing the data, then I will know how to navigate. Let's see how it goes. Let's do a whole lot of whatever the case is. Now, first thing first, I want to tell you case number 1. Let me install a library. Hashtag. We all know something. Okay, let me admit 2 people. Sorry. Boom. Okay. We all know something. If you want to write a comment in R or Python, you use the hashtag, right? So install library, install packages. Okay. So when it comes to, okay, install packages. Now, please, in next 10 minutes, once the class end, please kindly reconnect. Sorry for inconveniences, please. Thank you. Okay, install packages. So what will I do? At this point, this is what I'm going to do. I will say install. Install. It's already giving me an extension. Install. I'll click on this. Then inside, the possible libraries I want. If I want only one library, I can say install ggplot, ggplot2. ggplot2 is the Python library for visualization. I can say comma. I can do dplyr, call it plier, dplyr. Okay. Now this thing I'm doing, I'm kind of wrong. I'm wrong in the sense that I should, if I'm doing more than one library, I'm doing more than one library. Sorry. I'm doing more than one library. I should have okay, ggplot2, plot2, then comma. I can tell you then what's the next thing? I can tell you dplyr, dplyr. So then outside here, I'm concatenating them. See, okay, I think this is fair enough. Now, if you want to run, if you want to execute in this positron, unlike when you're working with RStudio that you do Shift Enter or Jupyter Notebook Shift Enter, what you need to do is Control Enter. At this junction, Control Enter. It will run. Are you good? It runs. It ran. Look at it. Look at what's happening there. Look at what it said. Check my console. It says some things. Okay. Okay. Now, successfully, dplyr library and ggplot2 has been installed. I can also install more libraries. Now, if it's only one, I will not use the C. You know, stylishly, I'm working with Positron. I'm not using style to talk about our programming here. But pardon me, I'm sorry for that. Okay. So aside that, what should we do? Me, I'm always tired of importing CSV file. I'm very tired of importing CSV file or Excel file into whatever we're doing, whether it's Python or R or Java. I'm tired, or MATLAB. So I like taking data set from GitHub. Okay. So now at this junction, let's work with a data set called Penguin. So we're going to take the data set from GitHub. So before you can take a data set from GitHub, you should be able to define the what? The HTTP, the URL. The URL, you should be able to define it. Now, let's locate our data. Locate. Okay. Location of data. Of data. Good. Now, hello,
So,
can you hear me?
tutor, this may end in the next few minutes. Less than 5 minutes.
Okay, no problem. Okay,
Less than 5 minutes, this
once
will
it's
end, and we're going to join again.
All right, noted, sir, no problem. Now, let's locate. What will you write now? There's a particular data set called Penguin in GitHub. So let me write URL. I will do like this. Boom. I don't want this. I want this. Then it's called HTTP / HTTPS double colon or one colon / GitHub github.com / although you can go online, type GitHub dataset Penguin, copy the URL and paste. No problem. Okay. Codeless, COAT, I have LESS, then / raw _ minus data / raw / main / penguin PNG UINS .csv. Now, plus or minus, I will highlight this, control copy, then, okay. So I think this is fair enough. This is the URL. So, but I don't want to run it now. So aside getting this location, source location, then you have to download it. The next one, let's write download file. Yeah, I've seen an extension here. Download file. Inside the download file, I will tell you URL. That's the name of the file. That's the name of what I named the source, URL, then comma. I should name it, I should give a name to this file. Let me call it ping, P-E-N-G, ping.csv. So at this junction, this should have a quotation. Good. So now we're moving. Then, wow. Let me give it an hashtag, download the data. Data set. Okay, good. Now, aside this, what's the next thing? We read the data. Within data set, I can call it df. Okay, I can call it df. I'll say read, read, read.csv, CSV, then in bracket inside the name of the file, peng, P-E-N-G .csv. Now, one unique thing about Positron is the working directory is by default. You're gonna see, I'm gonna show you the working directory now. Okay, look at this point. My working directory is called download. Look at this part. It's called download. So I want to show you something. To know your working directory, you use what's that thing called? We use this thing called my head. I can remember. We use working directory. Yeah. Okay, we use working directory to check. We use working directory. Okay, let me see. Now, to check the what's it called? The repository, we use get WD. I'm still coming to that. So now, this data set I want to go and get from GitHub. Ideally, I should import a CSV file from my system, or I should import what's it called? It's an Excel file from my system, but I don't have. So I don't want to start sharing data set all through. I intentionally want to go to a GitHub, an open source platform where any of us can get this data set to do that. So now, this line 2 has been executed. We're good. Line 2 has been executed. We're good. So line 5 wants to be executed now. What will I do? I will tell you, put your cursor in line 5, then do Control Enter. Look, have you seen it? There's no error. Okay. Now, if you check the fourth pane where my cursor is, you see that a source link has been entered. Are we good? As a URL. Okay. Now let me download this now. Go to line 8. Control Enter. Wait. It's trying to download. It's trying to download. Are you good? Now it has downloaded 13 kilobytes. Are we good? Now, this data set that I just downloaded called the Penguin data set. So if I go to my download, if I go to my download space on my computer, the data set is there already because I name it Peng CSV. Let me check.